Yes. Motzi Shabbos. Lech Lecha. We start our exit to find ourselves, to find the Yehida of the self. You must exit, you must leave your homeland, your family, your friends. Lubavitchers do this to become shliach in faraway places. Everybody does this. Every person who leaves their homeland can really find themselves as an immigrant in America. A person can do things that he wouldn't do back home. Very often, people have done that with sexuality differences. They'll go to other cities so they can live out their own type of life. That's what Lech Lecha is all about. Lech, Lech. Go to yourself. But that fifth sense of soul, the Yehida, is expressed there. But in the fifth sense of the soul, there's always a sixth sense of the soul, an etzem haneshama. This etzem haneshama is what I'm going to talk about tonight. The Yehida, as the fifth level of the soul, is always the tip of the letter Yud. The first level of the soul being the Nefesh, the final Hey. The Ruach level, the Vav. The Neshama, the Hey. And the Chaya, the Yud. But there's a fifth level there, and that fifth level, corresponding to Keta, in the Adam Kadmon world, is the tip of the letter Yud. Now this is known. That's the fifth level, but they always talk of a sixth level of the soul. I didn't make this up, but my Hiddush is this. How is the sixth level of the soul manifested in the four-letter name? Remember, the sixth level of the soul is the resurrection of the dead. It's reserved for miracles. Listen carefully, because you've never heard this before. The sixth level of the soul is not reflected in the spelling Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Even at the tip, that sixth level of the soul is not expressed that way. One could say it's the white surrounding, and that's what people usually do in mystical type of things. They do that in yoga by saying that the fourth level is the white surrounding the Om, the Turiya level. But for me, the sixth level of the soul, at the level of the resurrection of the dead, corresponds to the spelling of Yud Kei Vav Kei in Olam Haba, which is Yud Hey Yud Hey. Yud Hey Yud Hey. Yeh will be the spelling of Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Vav will change into a Yud. It's the spark of God. That Yud is when written, is the head of the Vav. So it's not so strange. They always say that the spark of God, the light of God, will be found in the Yud. The tip of the Yud, controlled in that. Well, it is going to be in the tip of the Yud, but that Yud is going to be at the head of the Vav, and the line of the Vav will fall off in Olam Haba. Because Olam Haba will be shown at the resurrection of the dead level, the second level of Olam Haba, will be shown that the Yud Hey above is the same as the Yud Hey below. That the above and below are equal and the same. And that physicality will be godliness. And that's what's expressed in the resurrection of the dead. An eternal life of the body, like there's an eternal life of the soul. This level of understanding is very deep. Wait till you hear this. It's reflected in Lech Lecha itself. Lech is 50. Lecha is 50. Lamed Kaf and Lamed Kaf. And there's that connection loop showing that it's two separate things, but as one. And that's what Yud Hey will be, because it'll be Yud times Hey, which will be 50. Then plus, because it's separated here, Yud times Hey, 50. The same as the 50 and 50 of Lech Lecha. It'll also be two Nuns. And the two levels of Malkus and Bina. 50 gates of Bina. Lech Lecha shows this 100 level of Yud Hey, expressed as I expressed it. That same level of Yud Hey as 100 is also a final Mem that surrounds the Samech, which shows the marriage ring, physicality of spirituality. Square Mem is the physicality of the circle of spirituality. So that's the sixth level, as expressed in the changing of the name. Where do we find this name? We find this name in the sector Nazir, because a Nazir's oath is 30 days. It's the only time that halacha is determined by gematria in the Talmud. The whole idea of the Nazir, who recreates himself and recreates his own body, who permits his soul and his body to become one and to be resurrected in his own power. We'll be talking about this more, but for today with Lech Lecha, showing that Lech Lecha has a root in Yud Hey, the name of Yud Ke Vav Ke in the future. And how the level that reaches this is the Ruach level of the Vav. We don't need anything more esoteric than the usage of the Ruach level in the Vav. And what does the Ruach level of the Vav mean here in the Yetzirah world? Ruach has to do with the nose, the af, the breathing, meditation through breath, how one can do it. Fill one's body like before the zoom zoom. Breath out, empty it like the zoom zoom itself. Fill, empty, fill, empty. Using the nose for breathing, which is what it's supposed to be. The mouth is for speaking, but when you breathe, you use your nose. The male aspect, the ruach, this ruach, this Yetzirah world is obvious on Shabbos. As the worlds elevate up, one can get a good feel of it. But I suggest breathing meditation, a walking meditation, realizing, filling the stomach, emptying the stomach through the nose. This conversion of the vav into its head only, its 10 aspects. So it's really the vav and the dalet. It adds a dalet, a 4, to this vav, to the vav itself. It gives a 10, which is the yud. So the 6th aspect of the soul, resurrection of the dead aspect, has to do with the letter Vav of Yud Kei Vav Kei converting into a letter Yud. And that spelling in the future world will be Yud Hey, Yud Hey, parallel of the upper worlds and the lower worlds to become one.